In addition to the organizational model having an impact on the decision-making process of the CEO, the compensation for these executives in higher education play possibly an even larger role in motivating their decisions. Executives are compensated in higher education through many different venues. There's a salary that is traditionally fairly similar between for-profit and not-for-profit institutions. However, that is where the similarities stop. While there are typically automobile and housing allowances and prestige of the positions at traditional colleges and universities for executives, the prestige is notably absent from institutions of for-profit education. However, the bonus programs at for-profit institutions are much greater than those at traditional colleges and universities. In addition to that, the future compensation is very different. Future compensation in traditional colleges and universities comes in the form of deferred compensation that is accrued throughout the contract terms of the chief executive of the institution. Whereas in for-profit institutions, future compensation is given in terms of equity in the company. There are regulations on the compensation for executives in higher education. At traditional colleges and universities, this regulation comes in the form of protecting against conflicts of interest for executives. For public institutions, this is normally within the laws of the state, and for private institutions, which are not-for-profit entities, there are regulations put in place in this by the IRS. Here are the highest paid executives in for-profit education. The highest paid is Andrew S. Clark, who is the president and CEO of Bridgepoint Education Incorporated. Note the second and fourth places on this list held by Charles Chaz Edelstein and Gregory W. Capelli, both co-CEOs of the Apollo Group. The Apollo Group is the ownership company of the University of Phoenix. Combined, these two co-CEOs made upwards of $18.5 million in 2010. With the University of Phoenix making up the vast majority of the Apollo Group, it is clear that the Apollo Group is by far the largest for-profit institution of higher education, with almost 4 times as much as its next closest competitor. Within these dozen for-profit institutions lies the majority of enrollment in for-profit higher education. The Apollo Group co-CEOs, as I mentioned before, Chaz Edelstein and Gregory Capelli, have backgrounds that do not come from academia, as is traditionally the case with CEOs in higher education. The compensation they receive includes a salary, a bonus at least equal to their salary, and an equity plan in which the CEOs can receive Class A non-voting stock. Furthermore, the CEOs have benefit and stock incentive plans that are typical of executives at the Apollo Group. Both CEOs also have termination packages that, for at least Mr. Edelstein, will be exercised this coming August as he steps down as CEO. Note the backgrounds of both these CEOs having bachelor's degrees and MBAs, but no education experience. Furthermore, having backgrounds in banking, but no backgrounds in academia. Looking at the compensation in traditional universities, here's a list of executive compensation at public universities with the top 10 highest paid executives at public universities, as well as the president as well as the chancellor at the California State University system, the largest Here's a chart showing the executive compensation at public universities with the highest paid executives. While CEO compensation at for-profit institutions correlates closely with the size of the institution in terms of revenue and number of students, the number of students do not correlate nearly as closely with executive compensation in traditional higher education. Gordon Gee, president of The Ohio State University, oversees the largest individual university in the nation in traditional education. He is also the highest paid public university executive, and his pay is similar to the highest paid executives at private institutions as well. He has an extensive background in academia, as well as terminal degrees in education and law. Furthermore, Time magazine has recently ranked him the best college professor. With an annual compensation of $1.3 million, Gee also receives allowances for housing, club dues, and an expense account. Furthermore, the president at Ohio State University has a termination package where he will retain full tenure as a professor at the School of Law with a sizable salary. Dr. Charles Reed is the chancellor at the California State University system. He oversees tens of thousands of students and staff. Dr. Charles B. Reed is the chancellor of the California State University system. He oversees tens of thousands in staff and hundreds of thousands of students, as he is the largest university system executive with singular autonomous control. He has a similar background, though not as extensive as President Gee. However, Dr. Reed is not even in the top 45 in public university president pay, with an annual compensation of $451,000. Barbara Snyder, president of Case Western Reserve University, has an annual compensation package of nearly $800,000. Again, while her background is not as extensive in academia and education, she has held the executive vice president and provost position at The Ohio State University. Furthermore, Case Western Reserve University is a nonprofit entity that is over $500 million in size, and the median salary for chief executives of not-for-profit entities, including charities of a similar size, is fairly similar to the compensation that President Snyder received.